the Grand Observer here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year's! Happy New Year! Now, everyone, I have a task for you. Make a list of what you're going to be doing for this year. What are your resolutions? Don't share them, whatever. Just have fun. And the pipe, I don't smoke, I just collect stuff, antiques. Besides, it will help with the added effect of what we're doing today. 1 second, let me see if I can find it. This is the old copy, if I can find it. Oh shoot, I may have misplaced it. Nope. That it? Nope, paper, pencil. Glasses, where did I put it? Ah! Yeah. We are going to read a book today. We are going to do story time today, and the book we're going to read is one I made myself. Mystery High. Yeah, made the book cover myself. Regrettably, I never managed to put it together yet. Before I forget, this is actually the first copy, but I've long since edited it and changed it a little. So that is just for memorabilia. But I do one day intend to turn this into a real book. Now then, on with the show. Mystery High by yours truly, the Grand Observer, aka my real name. Don't care, though, if everyone knows my real name. It's just a stage name anyway. An alias. Alright. In everyone's life. Let me think of an accent. In everyone's life comes a time when we are tested. Some tests involve strength, while others need intellect, or control of their emotions. This tale will tell of 6 children tested in the most unusual ways, but only to meet for the biggest challenge yet to come. Chapter 1. Strange Occurrences. It was a peaceful morning at Greyhound Manor. Everyone was waking up, except the granddaughter of Farron Greyhound. Looks like this too. There are some things I need to fix. One day. I'll worry about the fixing later. Fully. Alright. Save. Except for the granddaughter of Farron Greyhound. She is a 15-year-old girl, blonde-haired girl named Lucy. This morning that she is sleeping late is her first day at Mystery High private school. Lucy was caught up in a dream that would soon change her life and herself. She was dreaming of sitting in a white room with no doors or windows. While sitting and looking around, she noticed a man wearing a white hood and a black cloak walking through the wall. Lucy felt that she should know this man, but for some reason she couldn't remember him. The man spoke with a voice that made him sound no more than 16. He said with hastened words, "My name is of no importance for now." She suddenly looked into the darkness of the hood with much surprise that he read her mind, and he continued saying, "We don't have much time. Prepare yourself. It's almost time." Lucy, with great concern, asked with great concern, "Almost time for what?" Bear in mind, I'm no female. I can't read for a female's voice easily without making it sound weird. So, just do with it what I do. The shrouded man laughed and said, Five others like you, gifted with special abilities, will be tested." The man looked at both sides of the room and said, "Our time's up. We will meet again." Lucy got up But before she could say a word, the man waved his hand. Lucy noticed his hand was full of fur, and instead of nails, a set of claws were in their place. Before she could notice anything else, the floor disappeared, and without a choice, letting darkness take her. The next thing she knew, after nearly drowning in shadows, she found herself flashing her eyes, waking up in her bedroom. Realizing it's 9:15 a.m., she hopped out of bed and hit the shower. Lucy headed to the dining room, hoping that Granddad Farron didn't go to work yet. By chance, he was sitting at the far end of the 12-seat table, sipping coffee and reading the paper. Yeah. Let's see. There we go. Farron looked up from his paper with a smile and ushered her over. With no hesitation, Lucy walked over with eyes fixed on the box. Farron lifted up the box and said, "This is for you. This is for you." Lucy took the box and started to open it. By halfway, Farron continued saying, "This belonged to your mother before her passing." Lucy finished opening the box and found a hand mirror that had no back. Lucy looked up from the mirror with a confused look. Farron wiped a tear away and said, "I'm going to miss you so much. You'll be living at this school for 3 years, and while you're there, you will not only learn the usual stuff, but more of yourself." Before she could ask him what he meant, the sound of the school bus horn interrupted the conversation. With that note, she grabbed her bags and the old mirror and started to the bus door. Standing next to the bus was a man at least 5 feet tall, wearing an old-looking golfer's hat and plaid sleeveless sweater. With it all under, she could tell he was wearing a dressy Under Armour. He was also wearing black boots. The man asked with a faded voice, "Are you Lucy Greyhound?" Lucy nodded, still staring at the man. He laughed with an oddly warm smile and said, "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sid. I'm the bus driver, the school bus driver, groundskeeper, and mechanic." Sorry, text. Lucy looked one last time at Farron standing at the door, then boarded the bus. The ride was long and smooth and excuse me, and bumpy at the same time. On the school bus, she sat with a girl named Caitlin. She looked no older than Lucy, and she wore clothes that a rancher would wear. She had a straw hat, and then she was tanned, almost like the picture of a chestnut horse. But her cheeks were lightly sprinkled with freckles. Freckles. It's hard to keep it do an accent. So for some reason they're coming out with a high-pitched German voice for this. It gives a story tell. It gives a story tell us a feel, I guess. Anyway, back to the story. Sitting behind us were 2 brothers named Nathan and my brother Nick. Yeah. Another typo. Oh, miss. How did I miss this stuff? I admit I was editing late at night, so my eyes were a bit foggy, but... And... Yep, that would be 2. And I do admit, this part I did on purpose. I kind of switched to narrating it, which would be the young girl, Lucy herself. But I think it makes it for a more interesting story reading, because it's not only one person telling the story, which is always more fun. So, don't laugh! Time for a female's voice. Sitting behind... I didn't mind the staring, though. Oh, no. Ah! Ah! Dear me, I almost forgot what my own book was. It wasn't Nathan. Who was narrating this part. I was narrating this part. Me and my brother. My numbskull brother. How did I forget this? It's been so long since I've looked at this book. Lucy kept staring at us. I didn't mind the staring, though, which I'll use my regular voice for this, because this character is literally me. I wrote myself in the book. Back to the story. I didn't mind the staring, though. I kept to myself while drawing random pictures that were quite good. Yes, I admit, I was young and a little less humble. Nick, on the other hand, was non-stop chattering, which she didn't mind, because when he started to ask really weird questions, and I would poke his belly with a well-sharpened pencil and apologize to them for next questions. Overall, Nick is really good at making things make sense. He just gets very noisy. By the way, Nick, the character, is my brother, but not even close to him from what I said. Here we go. Sitting across from... Yeah, I keep changing narrators a lot in this. Sitting across from them was a shady girl holding a cane while trying to make sure... Oh no, that was still me. See, I have trouble reading, especially without real glasses. I need reading glasses. I have them, but I never use them. Sitting across from them was a shady girl holding a cane while trying to make sure her foot didn't bounce up and hit the seat in front. I hate this. This thing's not working right. There we go. Her name was Sarah, and apart from having a broken foot and more to herself, more than me, she had 3 books in her lap, 1 of myths and legends, and 2 of swordsmanship and... Where's the pause button? Alright. Sorry if the video seems a little wonky, I just paused it. Okay. Her name was Sarah. Apart from having a broken foot and more to herself, more than me, she had 3 books on her laps. 1 of myths and legends, and the other 2 of swordsman and armory. After what had seemed to be 3 to 4 hours was actually a day, but we all fell asleep before we figured out that it was night. We finally arrived at school at 10 a.m. The building was huge with a medieval look, and the grounds were covered with trees and pastures. In the center of it all was a fountain statue that had 3 dragons climbing a tower and breathing water. At the top of the fountain statue was a sun and moon put together. At the bottom of the fountain was a plaque that said, "Mystery High, born from bravery, dreams, and trust." End of chapter 1. I'm going to do 2 chapters because that was pretty short. It seems short. I also do read fast. Chapter 2. First day, school tour. We all got off the bus and we were greeted by a man that looked like he was 100 years old. He wore robes that you would find a priest wearing and a cane with odd writing. It was topped with a great jade gem. He looked like he hadn't shaved in 30 years because his beard was as big as a redneck's beard but only white. He had a hat that looked like it could be a fruit bowl upside down without all the fancy colors. The man said his name was Ambrose, and that he was the headmaster of the school. We took a quick glance, seeing like 150 to 300 kids roaming around, but that was only the kids we could see because there was supposed to be 500 kids, 500 total, said Ambrose. This was supposed to be a private school. Sorry, let me say that again. This was supposed to be a private school. Headmaster Ambrose gave us the time to look at the decor of the outer areas before saying, Alright, let's take a look around campus. First thing he showed us was a greenhouse that looked like an exotic forest on its own. Next we stopped at the stables, which I had no idea there would be a lion and horses and just more varieties of animals you could easily find at the zoo or the jungle. He then showed us Sid's workshop, and where he said we can find him if we ever needed any advice. From what I'm hearing, Sid is a person that would listen to you and help you when needed. The outside tour was finished, and we headed to the main building. Before we went inside, Ambrose stopped and said, "Now, this school Now, this school is not like your average boarding school or private school. It can either bring you life or death." I didn't think any of us got what he meant by bringing life or death, but it made me curious at least. Inside was a grand staircase that looked like it goes up at least 7 to 9 stories high. On the sides were 2 hallways that Ambrose said led to two of the classes we would be taking and in the center of the room was a table on one big cylinder leg. On top of it was a map of the grounds and the main building. Ambrose said if we were to get lost, to come to the center and may it guide us. He was so upbeat and never hesitated to make sure we were okay. Talk about concern. At least he wasn't like my own principal. When I was in 10 and in 6th grade, man, he was a jerk compared to Ambrose. On the wall behind the big round map hung 2 banners with the same symbol on the fountain, and head of a moon merged with the sun. Ambrose gave us a list of classes and what time they started. I couldn't believe what a few of these classes were. One of them was Beast Mastery. Now I know why they are lions. And another, Herbs and Ancient Remedies. For school, it's more active than when I was 12. One of the field trips was to the pencil factory. I almost fell asleep on the conveyor belt. Yeah. Time went fast and it was already dinner time. Ambrose led us into the mess hall. Now, this was a sight I couldn't believe. The whole room looked like it was straight from a King Arthur story. The food was to die for. When I was 8, for breakfast at school one time, we had oatmeal that was hard as cement. After dinner, Ambrose led us to our dorms. On the way into the halls, I saw portraits of men and women. Ambrose said they were headmasters before his time. He named one of them to be Garnan, Ambrose's granddad. He said that some of the headmasters in his bloodline were born to lead, as well as some of the teachers too. He led us to 2 doors across from each other and said, "One on the left is the girls, and the one on the right is the boys. You 3 girls will share a room." Yeah, just as I suspected. Lucy has been talking ever since chapter 2. But I'd rather not do a female's voice for this. He said to me, and Nick. Here we go. He said to me, oh wait, no. No, it was Nathan. What do you know? Sorry, again, reading glasses. I have trouble seeing. He said to me and Nick, "There will be another boy joining you 2, but I don't know when he arrives. Until then, this is just you 2. He warned us, saying, "You are not allowed to go in each other's rooms until after 10 in the morning and not after dinner." After that, we went to our rooms with that in mind. Lucy closed the door behind her to turn around to a room that looked big enough for 10 more roommates. In 3 parts of the room, there were queen-size beds that had a desk a dresser, and two pretty big shelves, and in the middle was a TV. Laying next to the TV were 3 laptops and school supplies. Let's see. Dang it. I hate this. There we go. Caitlin started unpacking quickly while chatting of the future that they may have here, unlike Sarah, who was just trying to get her dagger out of her backpack. Why did she have a dagger anyway? The other girls didn't know. Caitlin brought a saddle and everything for a horse. Lucy hoped she's not planning to hop on one of the lions in the stable. Lucy, on the other hand, had an odd item herself, so I guess really they were not that far off from each other. For settling in, we did very fine, as well as getting along. Sarah decided to chat some, and before they knew it, it was midnight. With the thought of school, we all finally got in our night clothes and headed to bed. Knock! Knock! The girls were shocked awake. Ambrose was the one who knocked and said, "Better get up, unless you girls want to miss breakfast. Today's special sausage links and waffles." Caitlin and Sarah and Lucy looked at the big clock at the back of the room to see it's already 9:15. Stumbling to get out of bed, they got dressed and ran into the mess hall. Sorry, my nose was running. When they got there, they saw me and Nick waving at them while standing in line for food. The girls rushed to greet us, only for me to offer his space line. My space line. Sorry. Probably a good thing that I'm reading this while editing, finishing it up. Nick didn't pay much attention to that, unlike the little doodad he was making. We got our food and sat down with the girls. The first thing any of us said was about how cool the rooms were. I didn't show much enthusiasm to it, but I didn't seem uninterested by it, at least. Next, I reminded us about the classes. They all looked up at me and surprisingly said the same thing at the same time. "Alright, what's first? First thing. Alright, what's the first thing? Alright, what's the first thing?" Today is Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, said Nick. He has a higher voice, so it's hard to do his. "We looked to see what is scheduled for it." I said, "By the looks of things, herbs and ancient remedies first." Caitlin asked what time it was, and we all looked at the clock and gasped, saying again at the same time, "In 5 minutes! In 5 minutes! In 5 minutes! In 5 minutes!" God, I wish I had more voices. Better way to synchronize voices. Actors. Good root beer. We rushed only to be 5 minutes late with the teacher standing at the entrance. "Allow me to tell the rest of the story. Hi, I'm Lucy, and I will be Oh, screw me! Now Lucy finally talks. I'll say this at the end. "Allow me to tell the rest of the story. Hi, I'm Lucy, and I will be continuing the story from where we left off. It was a woman that looked to be in her 20s. She was dressed in short sleeves and baggy jeans that looked slightly jagged, but they had the look of vines growing on them. She took a look at us and called us over, then introducing herself to be Eva. She ushered us inside the greenhouse to begin. When we got in there were 10 other kids at tables with odd-looking plants. Had ruby red petals and a jade stem. Eva looked at us and said, "This plant is called the God's Jewel. For those who do not know, the God's Jewel is used for poison and healing. The gem known as jade is originated as the healing stone, as the ruby is made as fire unless you refer to the phoenix legends. The firebird is born from its own flame by burning itself to ashes at old age, then reborn as a brand new glimmering phoenix, which is the true way to think of the ruby as rebirth. I couldn't believe how much she knew of this plant that I've never heard of. I noticed Nathan drew and colored the plant to perfection and then wrote about it in detailed information. While I was starstruck by this lesson the teacher was saying. By the time the lesson was finished, Sarah, Caitlin, and Caitlin were waiting outside for me, while the boys headed to the next class. When I walked out, Caitlin whispered in my ear, You need to keep your thoughts in your head, but tell me more about it, Lee. Tell me more later about it. And she pulled away with a giggle. I could not do a country female accent. I'd be insulting all female that have a country accent. After the last class, we all sat together at lunch. Nathan still drawing but talking more at the same time, not showing much of his personality. He handed me the picture of the God's jewel and said, Talk to Nick. He can help you make sense of it. I nodded and put the picture in my book bag. While we were chatting, Sarah noticed something and said, Oh, look! Next is Beast Mastery. Hey, class. Caitlin's eyes widened, and then she jumped to the chair Then she jumped up, saying with excitement, Yes, I get to be with animals, finally! Then she rushed off, yelling behind to us that she'll meet us there. On the way to the stables, I was trying to catch up with Caitlin. We saw Ambrose talking to a strange man wearing armor and carrying a sword and shield. While we were wondering what they were talking about, Sarah was fixated on the sword, though. I couldn't believe Sarah's addiction to medieval war arts. I thought she only had 3 books, but instead she had 5 more and a suitcase with a shield. We finally made it to class in time for once. Walking in, we noticed that the teacher was sitting on top of one of the lions. He noticed us walking in and said with a kind, squeaky voice, Come on in and sit down! This was not a surprise for my small size. His name was Felix. Size of being short, his ears were pointed, and so was his nose. And under his nose was a gray handlebar mustache. His clothes were strange for a teacher, even for animals. He wore pointed fine leather boots and a sleeveless leather jacket. And I swear I could smell raw meat in that little bag he was carrying. He said to us and a few others, Welcome to Beast Mastery! Today's lesson is taming or befriending an animal of any kind. These glasses are hurting my ears. I really gotta get those padded. I'll deal with that another day. Let's see. Where was I? All of a sudden, we heard a loud screeching noise from a stall that was locked up tight, except for a small window. Felix noticed our curiosity and said, For those non-believers, that creature there is a rare humongo hawk. It is the biggest bird in the world, but not the friendliest bird. Caitlin sucked in her gut and took a look inside through the small window to see if what he said was true. She couldn't believe her eyes. It was a giant hawk covered with red and gold feathers. The hawk saw her looking at him and strangely started to quiet down. With amazement, we asked how she got to calm down just by looking at her. She said, I don't really know. I just wanted to see it. And then it decided to lower its beak. He can take a gander at me. I could tell Felix wasn't so surprised, but he tried his best to look astonished. After the questions, Felix led us to a small field with bunnies, mice, hamsters, dogs, and cats. He said, These are your basic companion pets. that you will learn to tame. These aren't like your ordinary pet store pets. The first one you can befriend will be your friend and will be allowed to go to your dorms, so you can work more with your bonds. Caitlin was quick. She chose a dog in an instant, but for me it took 10 minutes to get a bunny that I eventually friended. Nathan was sitting in front of a cat that almost seemed frozen. He was drawing the cat, and when he was done, he showed it to it, and then the cat just started to go all over him. I never thought he would have so much luck from his lack of communication. To be honest, I prefer dogs. But it works, because cats normally do stay still. Nick, on the other hand, was acting like a mouse, and to my surprise, the mouse came forth and started to climb on his shoulder. To be honest, I had so much fun making this. Let's see. Sarah gave a hamster a toothpick, and then she started to pose with a dagger. And for an odd reason, the hamster copied the pose with the toothpick, then bowed at Sarah with delight. Felix looked at me and the bunny and said to all of us, "You made friends with your new allies because you had something in common with the friend." Then he spoke just to me. "Bond with the bunny, give him a name, and learn more. Everyone is permitted to give them a name, by the way." I was kind of confused, but I had a name. I named him John after my dad, who passed away shortly before my mother. Caitlin named the dog Bayard. Nathan's cat was named Sun because of its golden-like fur and by how open and understanding it was. Nick named the mouse an odd name. It was Shakespeare. Talk about a poet. That mouse could write poems and riddles. The hamster was called Lancelot after legends, but there was no resemblance other than swinging something pointy. Come on, that has to be funny. After class, we all headed to the fountain before the next one. Our pets were having a fun time running around the fountain while we talked about them. Caitlin was talking with us while playing with Bayard at the same time. We talked about the hawk and the thoughts of the future with our pets. After a while, John began to act up, so I looked up at the clock and said, "Oh, look at the time. We need to head to math." Everyone nodded and grabbed their pets. I thanked John for telling me that we were late, but still wondered how he knew. We headed to the main building to see where the class was. It showed to be on one of the first floor hallways. We took one and made it to class on time. When we sat down, the teacher came in, and I thought Felix was oddly dressed. The teacher's name was Flora. Her hair was brown and curly like curly fries. She wore glasses that made her eyes look big as an owl's. Her shirt was long-sleeved, covered with what I thought was feathers. Her pants looked normal, unlike her shoes, which seemed to look like a bird's costume piece. She was somewhat clumsy, but held her head high. She started out by giving us warmer questions, and then started teaching straight into algebra. I swear my eyes were about to start spinning from the lesson. Nick, boy, could he slow down, or was he just meant for riddles? He answered every question without hesitation. Nathan was drawing the layout of the questions, then he solved them with ease. I could tell Caitlin's eyes were already started spinning as she was laying on a desk drooling, while Sarah was taking it slowly. It was odd for me to think math was easy in the 4th grade, then to turn out to be hard as a rock in this school. Sarah and I had to carry Caitlin out when class was over. I didn't know where Bayard went, but when he came back, he had a bottle of water in his mouth. He nudged to Caitlin, and then she woke up and thanked Bayard for it and started to drink it. Sarah said with a sigh, "You need to talk with Nick. He could be your tutor." Caitlin nodded, and as she finished chugging down the water. The boys were waiting for him at the end of the hallway. Nick said with a delightful look toward Sarah. "One more class till dinner, and the next class is PE." Sarah went wide-eyed and started to rush to it while yelling back at us, saying, "I'll meet you guys there!" We all let out a little laugh because of how much she acted like Caitlin with the animals, even with her injury. Nathan smiled, then started trailing Sarah while saying, "Turns out PE is just in the next hall." When we got the man all in armor that was talking to Ambrose earlier was there. He introduced himself to be Oron. He was somewhat creepy because he had a stiffer face than Nathan. He talked with a deep voice. Sarah wasn't so intimidated. In fact, she seemed to idolize him. He wasn't the oddest thing here, though. The whole gym looked like one from the grade school, except for the racks of armor and medieval weapons. He started off with basic sword drills that seemed advanced. Sarah was just hacking to every word, not missing one move, while Caitlin and I were still trying to get our armor on. Nathan and Nick were pretty good sparring against each other, and at the same time I felt embarrassed being friends with them because of how good they were at doing things. Class was finally over and we went to dinner. Dinner was just as good as breakfast. They served roasted chicken, mashed potatoes. I have to say taters. I have a British accent talking in this female character. Fish salad and, for dessert, cheesecake. When we sat down, I had to ask Nathan and Nick how they were so good at swordsmanship. Nathan smiled and replied with, "When we were younger, we used sticks and started to beat at each other. I bested him a lot, but he never gave up." Hearing that made me starstruck to think he had his time to do that. But I, on the other hand, never had much spare time. It's always either been school or helping mom and dad or granddad. It's a long story. Later in the story, there'll be a little twist, a little detail that hinders this, but you have to think not the same dad or mom. The story will explain later if you're clever. But I'm only reading 2 chapters. Hopefully I'll get through this chapter soon. Let's see. Before dinner was over, Ambrose came in and said, I have an announcement. The Arctic and Observatory are for now out of bounds. Furthermore, no one is allowed outside the main building during night. Thank you for listening. Carry on." After that, Nick leaned in and said, "Sounds like a mystery. Maybe we should take a look." I countered, saying, "Wouldn't that be breaking the rules? Plus, it sounds dangerous, not mysterious." John made a noise in agreement. Squeak! I don't know what a rabbit sounds like half the time. Nathan cut in the argument, saying, "For all we know, he will wonder later if it will be discovered." Nick gave out a grunt and nodded, while I just wanted to keep low. After dinner, we headed to our dorm, got ready for bed. I couldn't hide my curiosity. So before I went to bed, I looked out the window, hoping I wouldn't find a thing. But something made me eat my own thoughts. I couldn't believe my eyes. What I thought was just someone's shadow had glowing red eyes, no feet, and decaying arms. It just slowly passed over the courtyard. Trying not to believe what I saw, I headed straight into bed, covered myself up, and hoped when I woke up it would be just a dream. Meanwhile, at Ambrose's office, there was more disturbing news. Aaron Felix Eva, Sid, and Flora were chatting about the darkness that threatens to destroy the school. Felix started to say with Way, "The shadows have been getting restless. They will try, and we aren't ready yet." Ron said, trying to figure it out. "We have 5 of the 6 guardians. Why hasn't he come? Without him, we cannot fulfill the ancient prophecy that warns of the shadows. Worse, those things and more will keep attacking the school." Sid said with doubt, "We do not have the strength to ward them off for much longer." Flora and Eva Flora and Eva couldn't say a thing to ease their doubts. Thank God I put that in a long time ago, just so I didn't have to speak in their female voice. With a pounding head, Ambrose yelled, "We will just have to hang on longer. We have not fallen yet, and neither will the kids." With those words of courage, they went to bed, still with fear, and yet with new hopes in their hearts. Now then, ladies and gentlemen, that was 2 chapters. There's my book, Mystery High. No, I'm not drunk. I had 2 burps that were kind of stuck. Either way, the Grand Observer was happy to read, and I will keep reading this book till it is over, because what's more fun than a good story? And as I was saying, there was something I was going to say. There are different sort of plot twists that are weird, but you have to have an open mind of how it all works. Logic and common sense. So let's just say this isn't a little kid's book even, and for that. I made a chapter book, but it still apparently needs some work, since when I made this, it was like at 5 and very late at night. So, without further ado, the Grand Observer, over and out.